Hello there, this is Roberto Matthews with another tip for you. Today we're going to talk about doing a background fade gallery on your hero area. So I've already formatted a few of these, a few of my site here. So we've already done the footer and we've already done the main area. And here's the header with a header info. And here's our nav bar. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go down here to the header area, and we're going to say that our header, the height is 100 viewport height. Okay. Now, we're going to also center all this information right here. So to do that, we're going to say display flex, and then we're going to say justify content center align items center. Okay, and now we have one more. As you can see down here, we have our header info that's inside of our header. So we're going to put our header info together. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'll show you in a second why we're doing this separately as header and then header info. But let's just go ahead and do the same thing. Display flex, etc. Okay. Oh, and then we have to make sure that we put here flex direction column. And there we have it. Now we have our gallery pretty set up here. Or one more thing on our header, text align center. That way, when we get smaller, we have our text collapsing. Now you're going to notice something about here. Let's go ahead and make our header have a border here. And I highly recommend using this border idea because if you don't know what's going on with your page or you're losing alignment on your page, giving each section or each item a border will let you see what's going on with the margin and padding, etc. So as you can see here, I have my header bordered, but when you go down here, it kind of overlaps. And the reason it's overlapping is because it's not taking into account the height of our navigation bar. So our navigation bar is on sticky right now, which means that when we're all the way to the top, it's position normal or position block. And then when we come and bring it up, it becomes position absolute. So when we come up here, it's kind of pushing everything down because our header is 100 viewport height, and we have to subtract the height of our navigation. So in order to do that, we just need one line of code in our JavaScript in order to give us this number. So we're going to put our number. Let's just go ahead and make ourselves a little div just so we can have an output div, and we're going to put it after the navigation. So let's just give ourselves a div called nav height. Okay, and right now this div doesn't have anything. Okay, it's just so that we can get our number here. And inside here, we're going to put a script. So let's go to the bottom here. And we're going to open up our script, and we're going to say that we're going to call the document crease selector. And we're going to go inside of we're going to write our answer inside of this div. And the name of the div is nav height. So we're going to say nav height. So inside nav height, we're going to put document.query selector. We're going to get the navigation, because navigation is the name of my navigation, or is the ID for my navigation. So we're going to get the navigation client height. Okay. So when we run that, we get spit out 58, and 58 takes into account the padding and any margins or anything. So we have 58 pixels, the actual height of this. Okay. So we don't need this anymore. And all we need is 58. So we're going to copy this. Okay. And we don't need this anymore. And so now we're going to say that instead of our header being 100 viewport height, we're going to say that our height is calculated by taking the viewport height and subtracting 58 pixels. And now, as you can see, my border is all the way around. Okay, so now we've subtracted the height of our navigation. So now we can take away our border here. And there we have it. Now we have our background. Now, how do we go ahead and add background gallery into here? So to do that, we're going to go ahead and use a keyframe to do that. So we're going to go before our header here, because we're going to use our header to do the animation. So before our header, we're going to put keyframes, and we're going to call it header fader. Like that. Okay, and then we're going to put 5 pictures in there. So in order to do 5 pictures, we're going to do 0%, then 100%, because our first and our last picture has to be the same. And then we're going to say 25%, actually 5 pictures, so 20%, then 40%. 60 and 80. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pictures that we're going to use. So let's set this all up first. So we're going to say background image, and we're going to say URL. And we're going to say source.unsplash.com. We're going to put something in between each one of these slashes here. Actually, we don't have to do that. Let's just go ahead and make them random. Okay. So we're going to say 1280 by 720. Okay. And then we have to make sure that we have separate pictures for each one of these, because if not, we're going to end up getting the same picture if we just leave it like this. So we're going to give each picture its own ID or its own number, just like that. And now if we run this, nothing happens because obviously I didn't call the header. So let's call the header fader. So animation, header fader. Now, how long do I want this to last? So I want each picture to be 5 seconds, and I want to give 1 second of fade in and 1 second of fade out. So each picture is going to take up 7 seconds total. So 7 times 5 is 35. So 35 seconds for the entire animation to happen. And then I want it to loop forever. So infinite. And so that should be fine here. So now we have our pictures fading. First of all, we're going to give our picture. Let's fix this, our text here first. So let's do that. So let's just say that our header info color is white. Run. Okay, there you go. And now we have our color to be white, and we should be all set up. Now, this flickering has always been an issue. But the reason we get this flickering, and it's going to happen whether you have the pictures online, like I'm accessing them, or your pictures on your server, the very first time it goes through, it's going to have this flicker because it's got to download all the pictures first. Now, the easiest way that I found to get rid of this flicker is to actually go into the body. And we're just going to load all the pictures one time really quickly so that they'll load up and then they won't have this issue. So let's go ahead and do animation, header fader. And then we're going to get a very short time. So let's just do 100 milliseconds. And that's it. It's just going to run one time all the way through. And we're going to get a whole new set of pictures. And I'm going to show you how to work that. So now we have it run. And now they've all loaded. It didn't take much time. And now you don't get that flicker anymore. You see that? No more flicker. And it's a really easy way to get this all set up. Now, the other issue that we're having is that our pictures are being repeated because they're too big. You see how the pictures kind of repeat here? Okay, so let's go ahead and fix that. So we're going to say our header. We're going to say that the background size is cover. And we're going to fix how we move our pictures here. I want my pictures to be centered. So we're going to say background position is center. Okay. Now you don't have to put center because once you put the first center, the default for the second is centered. So now we have our pictures covered once. And let's see how these flickers work. So as you can see, there's no longer any flicker because now it's only loading one picture. It doesn't have to load all of these pictures over and over again. So we can bring this millisecond all the way down again, rerun this and see how many pictures flicker. So we have all our pictures already preloaded in this animation really quickly, so quick that you don't even catch it. And then since they're preloaded, you don't get that flicker any longer. Very nice. So now let's say you like this, how this is working, but you'd like to do an overlay. So in order to do an overlay, you have to do a little extra coding. So we're going to take our header and we're going to say that the position of the header position is relative. We're going to also take our header info and do the same thing. So we're going to say that this position, copy, paste, is also relative. Okay. Now we're going to give this a z-index of something like 20. The reason I'm going to do that is because our overlay is going to have a lower z-index, so it's behind the background. Okay. So how do we create our overlay? Well, since this position is relative, we can give it an after pseudo class here. And we're going to say content is nothing. And then we're going to say position is absolute. We can also say relative, but absolute would work a little bit better. So absolute, we're going to say left is 0, top is 0, width is 100%, height is also 100%. And let's give it a background of, let's say, maroon. Okay, I tend to like maroon. So when I do that, as you can see, the text is still on top and our buttons are still on top, but we cannot see what's behind that. So in order to see what's behind that, we're going to say opacity is, let's just say 33%. So 0.33 because it's a 0 to 1 factor. And so now we have this overlay on all of our pictures. Now remember, you're going to get that first flash, that blank page, because it's got to load all the pictures. But once that's happened, and nobody will really worry about that, then you get all your pictures all loaded up. And remember, these are all fresh pictures coming from Unsplash. So they've already preloaded. You don't get the flicker anymore. And since we have it on background cover, only one picture is being loaded, so it shouldn't be a problem. Now, I can't really speak to ultra high def pictures. Obviously, each one of these pictures are only 720p, so your mileage may vary. If you have any questions or any problems with that, let me know in the comments below. If you have any other questions, or if you'd like to know more, don't forget, it's okay to contact me by email or just leave a comment below. Have a beautiful day. Thank you very much.